Ukrainian intelligence eliminated a lieutenant colonel of the Russian National Guard and 2 of his fellow servicemen near the settlement of Tambukan in the Stavropol region of the Russian Federation. This was reported by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The eliminated officer was the head of the Russian special unit Avangard group and was on his way to a training ground but never made it there. The main intelligence directorate said that the operation was carried out on September 27th. The Liberation of the Caucasus movement also took part in the operation. Drone forces detected and destroyed 4 North Korean self-propelled artillery units Koksan in the Luhansk and Zaporizhzhia regions. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Ukrainian soldiers continue to inflict significant losses on Russian occupiers in both personnel and equipment along the entire front line. Since the beginning of the day, a total of 89 combat engagements have been recorded on the front line. More details about the situation on the front line in our report.
Ukrainian soldiers have refuted information about Russian invaders advancing near the settlement of Zverev, southwest of Pokrovsk. The fighters note that in this area, Russian commanders show no regard for their personnel, and they continue to send small infantry groups to try to locate Ukrainian firing positions. But such groups are immediately detected and eliminated.
As a rule, these are completely unmotivated soldiers who lack sufficient military training. According to some of the captured soldiers, they had never served under contract anywhere and their military training was limited to just a week at the training ground. Experienced occupiers cynically call such soldiers one-timers. They are given a task, for example, to move toward a neighboring settlement or a forest strip that is supposedly already under Russian control. A group of 2 to 4 soldiers sets off calmly, and as they approach, the Ukrainians open fire on them. Alexei Belsky, spokesperson for the Dnipro Operational Strategic Group of Forces, in a comment to the Ukrainian agency.
The Pokrovsk direction remains the most difficult. However, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the situation there is under control. Since the beginning of the day, Ukrainian soldiers in this sector have repelled more than a third of all Russian assaults.
The situation in the Pokrovsk direction north of Pokrovsk is very dynamic and changes very quickly every single day. Nevertheless, this significant success of the Ukrainian armed forces allowed the President of Ukraine to confidently tell his American counterpart, to clearly demonstrate to his American counterpart that we are not only defending ourselves, we are actively counterattacking. Yes, this is not a strategic counteroffensive. It's not the liberation of Crimea tomorrow. It's operational tactical, but it is an offensive. And it works.
Load. Ready. Fire. In the North Slobozansky sector, the Marines carried out a brilliant operation. The soldiers said that first, the strike drone operators working together with the artillery hit the enemy positions with fire more than once, and then the assault troops finally cleared the territory that the Russians had tried to seize. Ukrainian defense forces are also holding their positions in the Novopavlivka, Toretsk, Lyman and Siversk directions, inflicting significant losses on the enemy in both manpower and equipment.
At the moment, they are deploying hundreds of groups, which are very difficult to monitor in every sector, but they are identifying fire support and troop concentrations. We strike there with drones or artillery if a large group is advancing. It's tough, difficult work.
In the Kherson region, our soldiers destroyed the latest Russian radar station for detecting ultra-small targets called Repaynik, which is capable of detecting more than 250 UAVs. Its cost is $100,000. The Special Operations Forces also reported the destruction of another expensive Russian air defense asset. Operators of strike drones blew up the radar station of the S-400 Triumph surface-to-air missile system in temporarily occupied Crimea. The military notes that the radar station is, so to speak, the eyes of the air defense system, and without the surveillance and targeting element, the entire system loses its combat capability. The cost of one division of the S-400 surface-to-air missile system, consisting of 4 vehicles, is approximately $625 million. Mission accomplished. Fly. In addition, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, over the past day on the front, Ukrainian soldiers destroyed 4 Russian tanks, 27 artillery pieces, 1 multiple launch rocket system, as well as 90 units of enemy vehicles and special equipment, and eliminated 970 Russian military personnel. Thus, the total losses of the Russian army have exceeded 1,110,500 soldiers.
Increase pressure on Russia and do not limit ourselves to just sanctions. These are the main points that were voiced today within the walls of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe. On the second day of the autumn session, discussions and debates continue at the level of European Union leaders. And while previously the discussion was about supporting Ukraine, today there is already a clear understanding of how to achieve a just peace.
We have 3 main elements for bringing people to justice. The European Court of Human Rights, a register of damages that will soon be submitted to the Claims Commission. We hope this will be done by the end of this year, and then a special tribunal will be established. We know that there are wars being waged on the European continent. We are facing aggression, specifically Russia's aggression against Ukraine since 2014 and the full-scale invasion since 2022. Despite this, we absolutely must invest significantly to continue working diligently on ensuring long-term stability and the essential conditions that should always allow peace to truly prevail.
In addition, the European Union has seriously started considering how to quickly stop relying on Russian energy resources. After all, according to the head of the Romanian PACE delegation, Julian Bulai, European money is thus fueling the Kremlin's war machine.
Both sanctions and the reduction of imports of everything coming from Russia, as well as the ratification by member states of conventions to launch the work of the institutions we have created here. Member states must reduce the import of gas, cheap gas from Russia, which fuels the entire war machine operating against us.
Russia is spreading false information about an alleged provocation being prepared by Ukraine on Polish territory involving Russian-Belarusian sabotage and reconnaissance groups. As stated by the Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine, such statements have nothing to do with reality and are a typical tactic of the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service.
The real goal of such statements is to create an informational alibi for Russian provocations in EU countries and to fuel fear and panic in Europe. In reality, it is Russia that is responsible for a number of acts of sabotage in EU and NATO countries aiming to disrupt military aid to Ukraine from its allies. This is according to a statement from the Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine on Telegram.
The Netherlands will deploy its air defense systems, Patriot and NASAMS, as well as counter-drone equipment in Poland to strengthen the protection of NATO's eastern border. This was reported by the Ministry of Defense of the Netherlands. The ministry statement noted that the deployment will begin on December 1st. This includes the protection of a key logistics hub supporting Ukraine. It was previously reported that the Netherlands will send 2 Patriot air defense systems and about 300 military personnel to Poland for a NATO mission to assist Ukraine in security and training. NATO supports the EU's drone wall initiative. This was stated today in Brussels by the Secretary General of the Alliance, Mark Rutte, before the meeting of the European Commission's board dedicated to defense issues. Rutte emphasized that while the alliance is investigating whether Russia deliberately attacked the airspace of Estonia and Poland, it is necessary to protect the skies.
We must defend our skies. That is why the initiative to use drones is both timely and necessary. After all, in the end, we can't spend millions of euros or dollars on missiles to destroy drones that cost only a few thousand. That's why we need a drone wall. But when it comes to Ukraine, this is our first line of defense. We are helping the Ukrainians because this concerns our values as well as our collective security, our first line of protection. It is crucial that they continue to fight and that we continue as well. We continue to support them.